Welcome to episode 6. If you don't know me, then welcome. I'm Paul Sparks. I teach people spirituality one-to-one and I also do online classes. So this week's vlog is a little bit different. It is a chatty Q&A. Somebody asked me to do this so that people can get to know me a little bit more as an individual outside spirituality. So I put a little question box on my Instagram. Thank you for the questions. So I've got myself a coffee. Actually, that was one of the questions, is what's your coffee order? So let's start with that. I get an iced skinny latte with sugar-free caramel. I know it's January, but I'm just not in a position to give up the iced lattes. So the first thing I'd say is I did not think this through properly because I had to write them down because I'm using my phone to record and they were on my phone. But let's start with the spiritual one. So there was a couple. The first one was, do you ever travel for spirituality? The answer to that is I do sometimes. There was a point many years ago where I used to travel exclusively for spiritual events. So I would go to different places in the world depending on where they are. So I went to London, New York, I went to LA. Now I do it sometimes. But what I would say is I'll always add a spiritual element into my trip. So I like to do tours and find out spiritual history and go to spiritual landmarks, and even if I don't and I'm just there having fun, I like to make sure I do something that is spiritual while I'm there. So I might do like meditation, or I might just look for somebody to share with, or like something that adds a spiritual element to each trip. The next one was about the holiday I've just been on and how was it. So I was in Lanzarote, so I've had a really busy January actually. I was in London, which was primarily for work, but my friend flew over from Amsterdam, so we had a really nice time. And then I was in Lanzarote for 5 days, which was lovely. It was just like a nice, cheap and cheerful holiday, lying in the sun, can't beat it. And I really feel that because January is such a long, boring month, I'd pre-planned that. And I feel like it's a game changer. It really is something that when it's so cold and dark here, it's just nice to get away and get a couple of days lying on a sun lounger. There was another question about other trips that I've got coming up. So I've actually got a few this year. I'm going to Amsterdam at the end of February. So my best friend lives there and I go there quite often. He's the one that came to London and I'm very lucky that I can stay at his house. He's got a fabulous flat. I love the city. It's a place that I don't really think I would like, to be honest, but I love it. So I'm going there from a Saturday to Tuesday and I'm very excited. There was a question about guilty pleasures, right? I don't really know if I've got a guilty pleasure. I would say that my music taste is sometimes a guilty pleasure. I've got really cheesy pop like music taste. But I would say I'm going to change that slightly to a simple pleasure. So one of my favourite things to do is a coffee in bed in the morning. So if I can get up an hour earlier and just sit with my coffee, I might scroll on my phone, I might read my book, I might just drink the coffee. I do that most weekends and I also love doing that in a hotel. There's something about it that hits different, of like being in a hotel bed, putting the TV on, even if you're not watching it, and just drinking your coffee. Like that is a simple pleasure for me. Okay, the next one, we're going right in at the deep end, is are you seeing anyone? I am not. I am single and really content. Like I'm really happy with my life just now. I, to be honest, dated a lot last year, and as much as it was fun and it taught me a lot, it's kind of exhausting at times, right? So dating in your 30s is not for the faint-hearted. So I've kind of dedicated the first quarter of this year just to having fun. I feel like the most confident I've ever felt. I'm building my business. My other work is going really well. I've got lots of activity planned. I've got loads of new things that I'm doing. So to be honest, like I'm open, but I'm not actively looking, and I'm quite happy and content where I'm at just now. I have to look at the questions. I'm forgetting in between takes. So the next one is about my skincare routine. Somebody said that they would love my skincare routine. That's nice. Thank you, whoever sent that in. I am a Rhode diehard. I used to use Zero Badgie for many, many years, but then one of my friends, Katie, put me on about a year ago to Rhode, and I used the full Rhode routine. You'll always see my pictures. I've got like the lip product on the back of my phone. I just find it's so good for your barrier. It's so simple, and it makes you really glowy. So I would say best products for me, the standout ones are the cleanser, but it takes a little bit of time for you to love it, I think. Like at the start I wasn't sure, But absolute hero product is the glazing milk. I find that is amazing for any redness. It makes you really glowy. It makes everything else stick. So I'm a big fan of all things Road. Okay, so favourite alcoholic drink. This is actually a discussion I had the other day with people in work, is that it depends what I'm doing. So I would say my go-to is a pint. I love a pint of beer. Just nice and simple. You cannot beat that on a Friday when you finish work. Like, I usually go with my friend Christopher and we have like 2 pints. Or on a really hot day, having like an ice cold pint is unbeatable to me. But if I was having like a night in, I'd probably drink wine, or if it's the end of a night and I'm having like something a bit more bougie, I would have an old fashioned. That would be my cocktail of choice, but I wouldn't drink them the whole night. I would have them at the end of an evening. And I feel like that's my cocktail. One thing that you have learned recently, I would say that I think that I had this false belief for a while that to be spiritual, you just had to always forgive, and you just always had to have mercy, and you had to give people the benefit of the doubt. And whilst that's true to a point, I think that what that led to is that I accepted less than I deserved. So many times, like I actually did a post about this week, I maybe didn't have enough boundaries, so I would overgive to people when it wasn't really coming from the right place, or I was given in places that it didn't feel that it was being reciprocated, or I was accepting disrespect because I didn't want to rock the boat. And I think now the key thing that I keep thinking about for 2026, and it's making me feel so much better in myself, is that the key word, I always choose a word for the year, is peace. So I want things that contribute to me feeling peaceful. And also my other thing that I keep saying is that I'm no longer available for disrespect. So maybe before I would have been fiery or challenging, or that period where I would just accept. Now I just make myself unavailable, and I think that makes me feel so much better, and also kind of removes me from anything that I feel is not worth my time. There was a couple about my gym routine, which is so funny to me. I'm not somebody who loves the gym, right? I'm really not. But what I would say is I'm really consistent, and I have been for quite some time, because I know the benefits. I like the way my body looks. I like the way it makes me feel mentally. So I am really busy, as you can imagine. So I have 2 jobs. I can't really do lots of the gym. So I've just finished a 13-month bulk. And I did all of that with 2 weight sessions. So they're quite long, but I do like 1 upper body, 1 lower body. And then I do 2.5 hours of cardio a week. So I do just like incline treadmill walking, and I do lots of steps, and I track my calories. I have just started a 12-week cut. So we're going to be adding a 3rd weight day, but like hopefully a shorter one, which is more leg focused. But I have to say, like, I don't love the process of the gym, but I do like that time away that it's just my hour. I kind of like lock in, and I like the results. Someone's asked about a favourite spiritual book. One that always comes to mind first, and I recommend to people, is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I remember reading that when I was about 18, and I've reread it a few times, and it is an unbelievable book. It is told through the story of this shepherd who's always lived on this hill, but he wants to go out and explore the world, and it's his story of finding himself as he goes through the world. And it's got a really lovely ending, a really nice message. It's quite easy to read, but it's quite a profound book. So I actually tend to gift that to people when I feel like they're at a crossroads, right? So if somebody is like, you know, maybe going through a divorce, or they are buying a new home, or they've moved to a new country, like it's that kind of book where I think it's good to recenter yourself to who you are and what's important to you. There's another one here about my music taste, right? So I kind of mentioned it before, but I have the cheesiest music taste in the world, but I love like Tate McRae, I love Coldplay, I really love Girls Aloud. Like I listen to the Girls Aloud live album every time I'm on the treadmill. Yeah, I love Madonna. Yeah, I'm very cheesy when it comes to music, but I also do like a lot of rap music. One of the things I would add to that is that I love a YouTube night. And I actually seen this thing the other day on TikTok that said that gay guys always love a YouTube night, and it's so true for me anyway, is that I love getting together, usually with my aunt and uncle, and what I love about that is it's like we've all got 3 different music tastes, and I've learned so many songs that I wouldn't have listened to. I love just sitting with a glass of wine, talking about why we love the song, Actually, I did that on holiday with my friend in Lanzarote as well. We would sit in the balcony at night and we would take turns of playing a song and say like why we loved it or like what it reminded us of in our life. I'm very into lyrics. I love Taylor Swift. How could I forget? I love lyrics. I love meanings behind songs. So yeah, I'm quite a musical person and I love a YouTube night. There's also one here about my favourite food, right? And like what I love to eat. I have the most basic taste ever, right? I'm quite open to eating different things, but I really don't think you can beat the classics. I'm not fancy. I love a pizza. I love a nice pasta. I love a steak. I love a Chinese chicken curry or a chicken satay. I love a steak pie. Like all your classic hearty, carby type dinners. Like, you know, when you go to those places and it's all like really small plates and it's like a 10-course thing, it's kind of wasted on me. Like I would eat it, but I'd be much happier with like a massive pizza and chips. Or I had fish and chips at the weekend at the seaside. Love stuff like that. Like just your kind of really basic, hearty, average foods. I love this one. What is one thing you wish more people would know about spirituality? That it's for everybody. I think there's so much out there that poses as spiritual, or people have misconceptions, and or I encountered a lot of people who say I want to put my toe in the water, but I don't really think I'm a spiritual person. I wish everybody understood that they all have a spiritual element to them, that the benefit of it is to really get to know yourself. And I think what I would say as well is that authenticity is key. I think it really helps you to be your most authentic self, to navigate challenges, to build resilience and boundaries. And so I think it's really something that everybody can benefit from. So when I hear people saying, I'm not spiritual, I would say that probably frustrates me because they're maybe interpreting it with false McDonald's versions of spirituality. Okay, what is one thing you couldn't live without? I would say the people in my life. That sounds like so cringy, but it's just true. I have like unbelievable friends that if I'm going through a really tough time will lift me up, and they've showed that countless times. So I think the people and the relationships that I've got in my life would be number one. If I'm going to answer that in a more trivial way, something I couldn't live without, probably coffee. I'm a little bit grouchy in the morning sometimes until I've had a coffee. So yeah, I tend to have like a council coffee in the house while I'm getting ready, and then I get like a cappuccino on the way to work. So yeah, I would probably say I can't really live without coffee at this point. If somebody's asked something that might surprise people about me, I don't really know, but one thing I would say that's came up a few times is when people ask me my favourite film. My favourite film is Kill Bill. I absolutely love the cinematography, I love the music, I love the whole simplicity of the story of revenge. I think Uma Thurman is amazing in it. The other one I would say that maybe surprises people is like I'm a massive Scream fan. So I don't love horror, but I've always been obsessed with the Scream movies, and I'm so excited for Scream 7 coming out in February. I think that always kind of shocks people a little bit. Like I really geek out on that, and I watch like leaks online or like people's theories about what's going to happen. Like I'm a very big fan of the Scream franchise. And the last question is really nice actually, which there was two that are similar. So there's like, how are you? And then there's also one about like, what would you like to achieve in 2026? So I'd like to expand my reach a little bit with the spirituality, and you know, get more people coming to my classes, for people to understand more about what I do. I've took on a couple of new clients in January and I'm seeing like unbelievable breakthroughs with them. So more of that would be good. I'd like to do, I've said this a few times, like more face-to-face stuff, workshops, building some sort of space where people can get to know each other. A lot of people come to my online classes, but they don't know each other. So that's probably one thing. But I would say overall, I just want it to be a year of fun, of trips, of peace, and just making good memories with the people around me. That's what I would say. And I guess that links to how are you? I would say at this time, just very content, very happy, very busy, but filling my time with things that are really meaningful and fun. Thank you to everybody who put in their questions. I actually really enjoyed answering those. I used to do Q&As years ago. Some of them were really silly, like the things I used to get asked, but I always really enjoyed doing them. So hopefully you enjoy watching it. And also thank you to everybody who continues to support me. I really appreciate you all liking the vlog, sharing the vlog, and giving me your feedback. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week.